Hi guys, and welcome to Forge Rights. Glad you could drop in. This will be part 6 of my coal forge build. I'll be attempting to finish off all of those parts that I'd previously started but hadn't completed, which will include my coal chute, my forge flue, my air intake connections to my blower. I'll be introducing what type of blower I've got. I will be constructing the house. I'm calling it a house. It's a little box compartment, waterproof, soundproof, that my blower will live in outside to reduce noise. And I'll also be connecting up my voltage regulator to be able to control the speed of the blower from the forge. Okay, I'll try and reduce the length of my videos because I'm fully aware that they're starting to grow way too long. So rather than go through every part of the process that I do, which I tend to like explaining what I do and why I do it, but it makes the videos very long. So I'm going to try and reduce the amount of talk and show some action of what I'm doing and the finished process, maybe a bit of a chat of what I did rather than going through every step of the process. A lot of what I'll be doing in this video is kind of self-evident of how I've done it, so it'll probably be a much shorter video. That's my intention, and I'm hoping by the end of this video that I will be able to light a fire. So wish me luck. So as you can see, once the other pipe is inserted in, it projects just below the underneath side of that timber beam there. That will go out there. I'll cut my hole there, out there, cut my hole there. I've already marked on the edge of here, and somewhere underneath there. I'll measure into that, measure into there, use a circular shape to get the jigsaw out, cut a hole, leaving a good gap all the way around. It's only a shelf. Just cut a hole around the shelf, around the flue, and pass it on through. Use the jigsaw to cut the circle out of the shelf. It's probably about right. And let's face it, if it's too small, I can make it bigger. But if it's too big, I can't put it back. Okay, a quick look at what I'm doing here. This is a bracket welded to the back of here. That's still hot there, so I'm going to have to wait a little while to put on this device, which I shall show you but not hook on because it will melt it. This here is my voltage regulator, which has the fuse in the top with a off, full and variation switch. So off in the middle, full on there, variation there, and then your variation knob here. So you can have it on high, medium, low, off. Well, won't be off, but it'll go at as slow as it can possibly go for that motor size. And I've put the bracket on the inside of here. That will then slide in, slide down. Like I say, it's still very hot. It's just got a little clip on the back, so that'll clip onto the back of there. And of course the blower plug plugs in to the bottom of there. So I'll just leave that there until it cools down. This here is the power lead that will come up here, and I'll put a power point on the end of there, plug it into there, and this is the cable that comes out of the voltage regulator here, comes down there. I'm going to put a power point over here hanging off that bracket so that it can be plugged in over there out of the way, and also this, I've got it here so that it's tucked in out of the way, so it doesn't get damaged by anything, and all you have to do is reach around the corner here and adjust your voltage. Okay, that'll do. The idea is that will be screwed to the back plate. After the back plate is welded to here, I'll drill all my holes, mark and drill my holes, so that's connected to there. I shall have the power lead coming in on the side here, so come up through this gap and through a piece that I break out of there. So that will be my power point at the back of the forge, so that I can have a short distance for my voltage converter to be connected to. No, it's not going anywhere. Ugly. Really, really ugly. Just wanted to show the latest connections. I've now got my voltage controller on. Got a plug that comes into here, loops around inside this tube, comes back out the other side. It goes up the back, which you can't see where I'm holding it, up the back of this pipe, cable tied further up, goes all the way up, cable tied up the top, and then we'll run over here where there is a female extension cord socket, which will be where I plug my blower into. The blower will be on the outside of the wall up there, through a hole and plugged into that socket. So that will connect the blower to the voltage controller. The voltage controller has a lead coming out of it here, which is cable tied underneath there all the way around and is plugged into this power point. This power point has a lead that comes in behind here and is connected to the back of that power board. So now I have power running to my forge. I've got an extra power point there if I want to use it. Always pays to have two rather than one, and that should run my voltage controller. I picked up some second-hand sheet metal from the tip shop up the hill, and I'm going to make a connection onto here and a chute that runs out this corner up here, so that I can open up a door at the outside and pour my coal inside. So the door will probably fold down with a latch up the top. So fold the door down, stick the bag in there, pour it in, it'll come down and fall down the chute. It'll give me more to fill up, and I'll be able to just fill it up from outside, this is pretty well ground level outside. Well, I should say that's ground level outside down here. So that'll be a nice handy height to be able to pour my coal in. Right, so this is the piece that goes through the wall into the connection onto the hood. Then I'll have in here will be the second 45 degree to straighten it back up again. The only trouble being I need to then have this on top for my final section to hook onto, and it's only got one crimp on it, so I'm going to have to make a sleeve that goes inside that is riveted to it, and then I can slip the other one over the top of it and rivet that on as well. So the idea being that if I now cut that out of there, I should be able to drop that down inside halfway. So it goes down halfway, rivet it on, That will allow me to drop the next piece over the top of it. So if I rivet that in there, that'll give me a sleeve to slip the next one over and then rivet that as well. Just got the flue connected, well, this end of it at least. I'll just climb up the ladder here without falling over. So now I've got that riveted on. I can put more rivets in it if I need it, but gee, she's pretty solid there. Goes out the wall. I understand there's some gaps in there with my first hack, but I've got another sheet of this which I'm going to cut down the middle and cut it very accurate line around, and then I'm going to bring them in from either side, screw it top and bottom, so it will be a perfect seal. That's just so that I can get it through nice and easy and line it up properly. Okay, so here we have the outside end. Like I said, I've got another sheet of this iron here, which I'll pull this flashing off and cut it down the middle. Cut this piece down the middle where it lines up with that rib, and put one piece in from that side, one piece in from that side, which will allow me to cover up those gaps in there. There's another piece to go on top of there. This is where I made the sleeve to be able to connect the two pieces that don't have the crimping. So that's riveted around the inside to make sure that it stays put, and I'm very happy with the way that's turned out. Okay, as I was trying to say before, this is the two pieces of what would you call it, channel colour bond flashing. I can make a really good chute out of that to connect onto the existing chute that I've got in the corner. I know, I've cut the hole through up in the top of the corner up there. It's 340, because that's the size of the flashing that I've got to make the tube with, by 250. This is 350 by 200. And because it's coming off on an angle, that's why it's a different size. So now I've marked 200 mil all the way along there. I'm going to cut that side off, cut the same amount off the other side, and then use this to put another wall down there. So as I say, that's the first side done. Cut down to 200 millimeters high. Now I think what I'll do is I'll cut the other one out exactly the same, slip one over the other, and then just rivet them together. I've riveted up a piece of that colour bond sheeting that I picked up from the tip shop and put it into a opening up there. That timber you can see there is just a temporary barrier in front of the opening, which is where I shall make a fold-up door, but I think it'll be a fold-down door. I fell a little bit short on the colour bond sheet there, so I'll cut another piece out and add it to that hole there. But other than that, she's all completed and will hold quite a substantial amount of coal. I've taken this remaining piece of colour bond, which was in a rectangular shape, folded up this way. So over that way I sort of pushed it down. I got a long piece of steel and laid it over the seam, and I backed my car up over it, which flattened it out a bit. Then I grabbed my flatter and hammer, and I went from the other side and went up and down both seams to get it reasonably flat. I then flipped it over
and I'm bashing it from the other side just to try and get it to be as flat as possible.
This is the way I'm making my cone for the top of my flue, which I should start calling a shroud, because that's what it actually is, a metal shroud for the top of the flue. Keep the rain out. All I've done is I just got a dinner plate, put it over a piece of paper, cut myself a nice circle, used the 3-point method to measure across and found the absolute centre. Put a line across that centre, used a square to square up a line to find a 90-degree angle off that centre line. I then measured the exact point between that point there and that point there, which creates a 45-degree angle off that centre line. Measured down there. I then got my pair of scissors and I cut down the original line, and then all you have to do is bring your original cut line to the new 45-degree line, and that will create a cone. What I will do is I will mark out where my angle is, and then I'll leave an additional section. So if that's the line where I want to bring this across to, I'll mark a second line across there. That will be the piece that I cut out up to that point there. So that will be my cutout there. Leaving this piece here as an overlap. So that's where I cut it. I have that there then. So then that line that runs down here gives me an overlap that I can then rivet down through here, silicone it up. Got myself a hat. I've done as described and bent it along this line, so I've now got an angle on that cut. It may not be perfectly straight. I think it goes out a little bit wide there, so I might try and just clamp that down a little bit and attempt to straighten that out. That's a bit better, I think. Shows a better angle in the corner here. It's a beautiful thing. There we have it. One cone. Pretty happy with the way that turned out. I shall make a mark around here where the flue comes to, and then I'll put on some attachment brackets that'll allow me to rivet it to the flue with a gap under here.
Done!
There we have the final section of flue with cowl attached to the section that comes out from inside the workshop. So I've got that with the same grey heat-proof silicone that I put round the seam on the cowl. So that's that all sealed up. I've now got a galvanised pole on the ground here, which is 3 meters long. I'm about to dig a hole down here, dig a little pit, and set that galvanised pole inside the pit, running up the back of here. And then I've got some straps which I'm going to put around to make sure that it stays upright, doesn't wobble in the wind too much. Probably not going anywhere anyway, it's pretty short and stout, this section of it anyway. Secured to the part that goes through the wall there pretty well. Righto, I've just been doing a bit to this pole that I'm going to cement into the ground. So first thing I did was drilled a hole through the bottom of it where it's going to be set into the cement. Put a bugle screw through there so that it binds into the cement better. Otherwise you might get twist. So you just drill a hole, put a bugle screw, that sets it in there nicely. And then at the other end I've put a little bevel on the end of the top here, and I've cut out a bit of steel from a bit of that scrap metal that I had down there, which I cut my hood out of. So I've just got a steel plate that I've made into a circle, put it on the grinder, ground it around there. I'm about to fire up the welder and tack that on, weld it down. That way, this is the top, and that way I won't get water filling up the pole post and rusting it out. I know it's galvanised, but galvanised will rust. Made the steel cap, cleaned her up a bit, welded her on. So as you can see, that will successfully keep out the water, so she won't fill up with water and rust away too quickly. So now to put it in the ground. A couple of things I'd like to point out here. This is the cover plate that I have over my coal chute. So at this point in time, this is what I'm going to go with. The chute holds a lot of coal, so I won't have to be opening it up too often. And at this point in time it's easiest to just put a cover plate over it, so excuse the noise. That's all it takes. Open it up, and there we have our entrance to the coal chute. The other thing I wanted to show was my pole in the ground. So as I described, dug the hole, set the pipe in, and filled her up with cement. I've got it strapped to there. That's the steel strapping that people use to strap up packs of timber, and it holds that very, very well. So I've got one down there and I've got one up at the top. Last thing I want to show, this is still a work in progress, but this is where my blower is going to live. This is still, as I say, a work in process. I'm making a timber frame to go around the top of there. This is my blower itself. So all I have to do, that projects out of there, so I can just grab the top of it, push it through, pull it back out, and lift it out of there. So this is her, my blower.
jumping castle blower. Cost me $40, well, $41. I've used the connector that I described, that I used onto my air intake itself, the same as I did with the other end. Got a 90mm PVC pipe, and what I do is I take this, use this camera work, I know it's pretty bad. I take this and that will slip over there. So my blower pipe comes out of here, out this way, into an elbow, an extension on it, and then that will be set about there, and then it allows this to slip over the top of that. You'll notice that I've got, my bricks have gaps, regular gaps. That's to let the air in. Righto, here we are. Cut a hole through the wall, brought my blower pipe out into the corner and through the brick wall. Completed. Drops in there quite nicely. We get some more strong winds here at times, so for now I'm just putting that there. The other thing I wanted to mention, that I had taken this cover off and poured a 40 kilo bag of charcoal. That's all I've got at the moment, lump charcoal, hardwood lump charcoal, into there, and it hasn't even half filled it. And here we are inside. So as you can see, I think you can see, yep, the lump coal that I've got is very large, hardwood coal. So what I've done is I just got a cloth bag and put a bit in there and give it a bit of the hit with the hammer, just to reduce the size a little bit at first. Going to have to make myself a coal shovel. I've also done as I predicted I probably would have to. I've sliced up there and opened that up a little bit to give it more room for the coal to come out. And first thing I'm going to do is light a fire, see if my system works with the air outlet in here to cause an updraft, and see if I can control it with the voltage regulator to be able to get a good result of getting the smoke going up the chimney. So we'll see if that works. Once I've got a fire going, I've got a piece of 25mm square stock here, 200mm long. I don't know why I've done 4 inches there, that's wrong. That's 8 inches, so 200mm long, and the intention is to drop a section into my hardy hole, split it down the middle and bend her out, making a bending fork. And that'll probably be my first project in the coal forge.
Okay guys, I'm pleased to say that coal forge has been finished, ready to light. This is a massive moment for me because I've been building this thing for weeks now. I've been really looking forward to it, and I've got it set up ready to go to test out. Hope it's not a very embarrassing moment, and that my fan system doesn't function the way I hoped it would, but we'll see. Never lit a coal forge in my life, so that could be embarrassing just in itself. And never used a coal forge, so it's all learning for me. Let's hope it goes well. build a bit of fire up around, bit of a barrier around the edge there. I don't know, I think it's okay.